Sure, I'd love to have some of my eyes. Good morning, sunshines. Actually, good afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Do you guys know what movie that's from? Witten, just as I went live, asked if I wanted him to do makeup on my eyes. So this is going to be a very special feature where we do apparently makeup tutorial as well as a live video about tantrums versus fight or flight. I want to take some time today to kind of explain what's been going on with him because I've had a couple questions about like, what do I mean by attacks? Like, what does that look like? Come here, you can show him. Come here. Okay, come up here. So you can show me. And I want to talk about that. So before we do those, say good morning, sunshine, or hashtag GMS. Share something that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for my makeup doer, Witten John Carroll, my makeup artist, if you will, today. And what are you grateful for? It's Thanksgiving almost. So you guys you should be starting to think about these things, right? Because you're going to be standing with all your family and giving a thanks on Thursday and hope you have all the thanks to give. All right, so lately, right? I'm on the other side of chemo with Whit and John. And I heard about chemo hangovers. I've heard people use the words before, 6 months to 2 years. I'm like, yeah, I don't really know what that means, but like, let's just roll with it, right? And then I start to understand over the last month what it's going to look like a little bit more, at least what it looks like now. The first attack, I'm going to say, that he had was about 3 weeks ago. And we started him in occupational therapy. And this might be supportive for your guys' kids too, so you can understand what they're going through, right? We started occupational therapy to support him with some different sensory things that he has going on since chemo, right? Doesn't like to eat different foods. We don't know if that's the palate, if it's the type of food it is. He won't get out of his pajamas. He still has different sleeping patterns. So trying to support him with that. One of the things they talked about there is how when we have sensory aversions or different things that are maybe inhibiting, you look at balancing your proprioceptive behavior by trying to do different pounding activities, squeezing activities, and getting the kid back in their body. Have any of you guys heard of this? That's the best words for me, getting them back in their body. What makes sense to me about this with Whit and John is over the last 17, 18 months now, he's learned how to become disassociative, where he's had to cope, right, with 58 chemo treatments, with uncontrollable illnesses, ailments, aches, pains. I mean, he's had neuropathy, he's had the itching of the scalp, his hair loss. He's had so many different things that he's had to cope with that he's learned how to disassociate to manage his stress. So this is one thing that we're learning in OT, right? And with that, they have us do this okay, so bring him back into his body. Let's get to the tantrum side of things. He's ringing a bell right now. He likes to practice that. So I'm at home, I'm talking to a friend, right? And I show him this technique. So I'm explaining this to her. So I show him the technique by giving him just like a hug, like a tighter hug. And what happened next? I was just like, what is going on, right? He went into this tantrum with quotes around it, where he started screaming at the top of his lungs at a level that I don't know. Maybe some parents have heard, but not all parents have heard, right? And then he wanted to be held, and he was squeezing his entire body, flexing every muscle, and then saying, ow, 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 right? And then letting go and wanting down and wanting back up. And this continued on for 30 minutes. Now, here's the wildest thing about it. I've seen tantrums. My kids have had tantrums. They lay on the floor, that they're trying to get what they want, and they realize they're not going to get what they want, and then it usually ends. That to me would be a definition of tantrum. Maybe there's different ones, but that's kind of like the thought, right? Looking in his little eyes, it's like he left his body. Is my best way to explain it. It's like he couldn't hear a thing that I was saying. It was just so wild. And since then, he has had maybe 10 or so of these different attacks, which are not tantrums. They are an extreme result to the trauma that he's experienced, maybe combined with some physical pain from the detox that he's having over the last year and a half. And it's not just chemotherapy patients, right? It could be trauma from all sorts of things. Happy Thanksgiving year in your life. So somebody reached out to me on Facebook, and she's been teaching me about the HPA axis. And I don't have all the information now, but it's something I want to start talking to you guys a little bit more about so we can understand ourselves as well as our humans. So I'm going to give you what my reaction of the Cliff Notes version is of this, and then we'll be done for today. All right. So have you ever had your kid like severely injured? And or seen a child, right? A small child that gets this superhuman strength, right? The fight or flight syndrome. So when Kinsey was 2, she fell down the stairs and she cracked her head open all the way down to like whatever, like the veins or things were underneath there. So we had to take her in to get stitches, and we didn't go to Children's. I don't know why we would ever go anywhere but Children's. But where we went, they dealt with older kids. They tried to cover her face so that they kept the area clear like this. So they're laying her on a table, they're covering her face, and they're about to sew her up, and she is freaking out. It took me, Grandpa, and 2 other nurses and doctors to try to hold this tiny human down. We had to take a sheet and wrap it around her because she was at like such an extreme stress response, right? An extreme emotional response, that she was in this fight or flight. She could have wrestled the Rock and won. I'm like, it was wild, right? Have you guys ever experienced this with any humans? Seen this? This is the state that I would describe Witten when he's in that. You can't snap him out of it. You can't talk him out of it. Just like my friend Joy was telling me, he cannot control those emotions no more than he can control the cancer that was running through his body. He can't be like, cancer, go away. Emotion, go away. I can't punish him through it. I can't try to yell at him for it. I can't bargain with him. There's nothing you can do because he's not in his body. Not only is he like not in his body, he does not know how to regulate it. Things are such at a heightened state of his cortisol levels, his adrenal glands, all of your HPA axis is your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenal glands, and they're your emotional control center. So a functioning HPA axis is an amazing thing because you and I might be able to handle stress. I feel like I have a pretty high functional HPA axis. Like last night, Witten's pooping all over and he's barking everywhere, and I'm kind of like, I'm pretty happy. I'm singing through it like we're doing good, right? And there's others that have had severe trauma, severe things occur in their world, or specifically chemotherapy that can damage your HPA axis, like certainly, right? And that their bodies don't know how to respond. The wrong hormones are released, and when you get that extra shot of cortisol that your body maybe doesn't need because you got a hug, and you are uncontrollable, unconsolable, and you're there till you're there. So the weirdest thing, you guys, is with this, I'm hugging Witten, right? This is what I found is the best for us to do to care for him, is when he goes into this state, whoever's with him, which is me usually, has to have an emotionally calming presence. I have to be emotionally regulated. Even though he is screaming, he's hitting me, he's kicking me, he's jumping up, he's jumping down. My ears are bleeding, because of the scream right in him. And he's clenching, he wants down, he wants up. And for 90 minutes, I get to be emotionally regulated. I get to take deep breaths. I'm going to try to sing to him. He doesn't really like that. I get to hum. I've even tried like podcasts or things on for me to keep me calm, because my calm can calm his being, even though he's going through this serious trauma, right? So just from that, he can start to calm. The longest one we've had so far is 90 minutes. And we walk over, like he's on it. He's still on it. And I'm kind of walking him. I'm trying to show him different areas, maybe like expose him to cold, bring him back inside. And he sees a sticker and he goes, Mommy, look at that sticker, just out of nowhere. I mean, he's been screaming. I don't know. One day I tried to scream with him. I thought that would help. It didn't, by the way, at all. And I lasted for 15 seconds. 90 minutes later, he's still doing the scream. He almost doesn't have a voice anymore. And he sees a sticker and he goes, Mommy, look at this sticker. And then he looks at me like he's shocked. Like he just re-entered his body. And he goes, I'm not crying anymore. It was like this beautifully sad moment, but also this like realization of the trauma that is in his body and the things that we get to work through to help him heal. I wanted to share this, number one, so you guys understand when I'm talking about these attacks, right? Because it's not a tantrum. And I don't care what the judgment is. Like if somebody else wants me to be trying to punish my kid or put him in the corner, or don't do that, because I'm not going to do that. But some moms would, some moms would be affected by what other people say. So I wanted to share that piece. And I also wanted to share about this because when you're tiny humans or yourself are you're emotionally dysregulated, and your hormones are all over the place, you can't put the cortisol back in. You don't have the ability. You can't put the adrenal, like your adrenal gland releases things. You can't be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to take that back and I'm going to stop shaking and I'm going to be perfect. That's not the way it works. We learn coping mechanisms, right? We learn calming mechanisms, and usually that's finding a calm to borrow from. And my times of extreme, I guess, states, I hum, I sing, I take deep breaths, I get fresh air, I get on the ground, like, so just like feet on the ground, grounding, like just trying to allow for my body. You probably will be shaking, and you allow for that to leave your body. Have grace with yourself. Have grace with your children. Have grace with other people that you see going through those experiences, because they are real. And when you're tiny, they are not controllable. And as adults, sometimes they aren't either, but we do our best to find resources to support this. So I'm going to talk to you guys more about the HPA axis as I learn more, do some shorter videos, and continue to just spread awareness around this. If you have any experiences, go ahead and share right there. If you know somebody who's, gone through some serious things, share this with them. See, Joy, this is why we're going to do a full video together, because Joy's going to come on here and she's going to explain it in bigger words with more knowledge around it than I. But this was your Cliff Notes version. So guys, I love you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to go pick up my baby from preschool. We're going to make a cake, not because it's anybody's birthday, but they just want to make a cake today. So that's what we're going to do. I love you all. Have a good day. Bye.